I'd like to give you a brief overview of the Struggling Reader curriculum and how it is our hope that it would be in your home to help you both find out what's going on with your child and then how to teach them and using those best teaching practices. I am Kristen Eckenweiler. I am one of the authors of the Struggling Reader material. And so I'm going to be walking you through exactly what we have here and what sets us apart. I briefly want to talk about what's known as the Big Five, and that is what all reading curriculum is now based on. It was based on a report done to see what actually makes a good reader and how we look to find out what anyone, adult or child, might be struggling in. So the Big Five, very briefly, are phonemic awareness, phonics, and sight words actually falls under the umbrella of fluency. We have comprehension and vocabulary. In the Struggling Reader material, we have 5 components, but we do not have a vocabulary component. We have phonemic awareness, and I'm going to tell you what that is, phonics, sight words, fluency, and comprehension. And so the reason we don't have a vocabulary component in particular is because there is a lot of vocabulary out there. We know as reading specialists that once your child is reading, that their vocabulary grows through context. And one of the largest ways to grow a vocabulary is through reading. And so we are trying to get people to the point where they're reading and their vocabulary is growing. And so we do have 5 areas because we have a sight word and a fluency component. And sight words actually falls under the umbrella of fluency. So if you would like to know more about each of these, I'm going to go over them briefly as I talk through the material. But if you'd like to know more about each of these, very specifically, you can go to the FAQ section of this website, and there are little snippets of videos to tell you exactly what each component is. Now those videos are, I think, 6 years old now, or 7 years old, something like that, but the facts remain the same. But what you might see today is that our covers look a little bit different, and we have some updates that I think everyone benefits from. And also we have our material available now in CD format, which would be the PDF version of what I will show you. Our website is the Struggling Reader, thestrugglingreader.com or .net. Either one will take you to the website. Okay, great. So what we have that sets us apart is that we have assessments or tests that we would give as reading specialists that we have turned into assessments that parents, tutors, special ed teachers, whatever, can give students themselves to determine their area of weakness. Now, the Struggling Reader is a complete reading curriculum. It doesn't teach reading like anything really that you'll see out there. It teaches it very differently. But the Struggling Reader is a complete curriculum. What you do each year is determined by these assessments. And so we have assessments in those areas that I just discussed, in phonemic awareness, in phonics and sight words, fluency, and in comprehension. And these assessments tell you exactly what your child does not know in each of those areas, and it reveals what they do know. So for lack of a better word, we're not wasting time teaching them things that they already know. We are focusing on their area of weakness. Now we say that this is not a graded curriculum and that it will get any child and or adult through the 8th grade reading level. Well, what does that mean? So if I have an emergent reader, like you have a child you're just teaching to read, you may not use the assessments in the first year. We would just lead you to the activities, and we do have a foundations bundle, and I'll discuss that when I talk about bundles in a minute. But you wouldn't assess in the kindergarten year or even 4, however old your child is. You would just teach the material. But then when I hit 1st grade and I'm wondering, okay, what do they know? What have they mastered? What do I need to do in 1st grade? Then I could assess using the testing book itself and determine exactly what they know in each area. So I'm not teaching that in 1st grade. And then we tell you through a quick start guide how to put together your teaching. This is based on an activity approach to teaching reading. There are no worksheets here. We are based on a multi-modality approach to teaching. Many of you may be familiar with some of the research done by Orton and Gillingham, both researchers. Our curriculum looks a lot like those that are trained in that area. Looks a little different because we're not doing levels. We are actually just targeting individual children, students, and their strengths and weaknesses. And then we're just teaching them very specifically what they don't know. So what I do in first grade is dictated by how my child assesses. What I do in second grade is dictated by how they test. And the tests are not consumable. And so your child will go a little bit further. Each time you do the assessment, we'll tell you exactly what to be working on. When kids are really doing well, they might move through the material rather quickly. And so you might want to test in the beginning of your school year, in the summer sometime, maybe mid-year in the December time frame if you take a break. And then you just move through the curriculum according to how they're doing. And then another thing to note is that this is done on a spiral approach. So we teach things, and then we don't want to move on too quickly because we want to make sure that it's learned and it's in long-term memory, not just in short-term memory. We want to make sure that we go back over these things, and that's a spiral approach. So we talk about that as well. You might have a student that is just learning to read that might get to an 8th grade reading level by the time they're in 3rd grade. You just move through this curriculum at their pace, and then they're reading. Our goal is to get anyone to an 8th grade reading level because everything in the public domain is written at an 8th grade reading level. And again, when we change those reading levels, that is based on vocabulary development. And so sentence structure, how many words in a sentence, even syllabication determine a reading level. And once you're at an 8th grade reading level, the more you read, your vocabulary will grow. And so we're trying to get everybody to an 8th grade reading level. So I might have a child in high school who's not yet reading at an 8th grade reading level using the same material as my 4th grader who is doing specific activities in this curriculum to their weaknesses. And I might be using the same curriculum with my emergent kindergartner because I'm teaching them to read. So it's one curriculum for any grade level in your home, and it goes through an 8th grade reading level. So let me just give you a for instance, and then hopefully this will make more sense to you. So the Struggling Reader comes with what we call a testing bundle. And this is a book that has assessments that we would give as reading specialists that have been recrafted and worded for parents to be able to understand, to implement, and then to be able to comprehend how your child is doing in each of these areas. So we have an assessment for each one, and there will be a recording sheet or a record sheet that you can make a copy of. We don't want it to be consumable. And I'll mention now too that all of our materials are available in CD format. So this is this book on CD, which is just a PDF. It's exactly what you're going to see in book form. And you load this. And if you don't have a computer that has a CD drive, what we have found is that you just find somebody that does, or go to your library, email the file to yourself. You open it in iBooks or Kindle, whatever, Google Docs, whatever will allow you to look at these PDF documents. And then you can just print these recording sheets, and that will make sense to you. Let me just open up and show you that. Now, some of this may not be real clear to you, but I'll try to hold the book up a little bit closer. So you'll see we have those assessments in the table of contents. And so I might tell a parent, it takes me about 20 minutes to give each of these assessments. Give or take a few minutes, it might take you 30 minutes. But once you give them, you'll know exactly what you're doing. And so if I turn now to phonemic awareness, you'll see the score sheet. So there are, briefly, let me tell you that there are 44 sounds in the English language and 21 non-negotiable sounds. And so in phonemic awareness, which is the identification of sounds in the language, is the #1 predictor of reading success. And many of you may not have heard of it. It is not phonics. Now, phonemic awareness is just what you process auditorily. So it's happening in the brain. It is not a hearing issue. So you might say, oh, my child can hear fine. Okay, but that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for, once it's in the brain, are they processing the sound the same way that you think that you are giving the sound? And so an easy one to sometimes grasp for adults is that the TR combination makes a CH sound. So trampoline, trailer, truck. I don't even know sometimes that my child is hearing that ch until they start to spell, and then they spell it with that CHRUK. I'm looking to see beginning sounds, middle sounds, ending sounds. Are they processing the sounds of the language? Now, auditory processing, phonemic awareness is the number one predictor of reading success, because if you have any holes in that, then you will have holes when I approach things like phonics, when I start to give letters and letter combinations for the sounds that they make. So I'm going to start with some initial sounds, and so I have just a recording form here, and then the assessment is very simple. We tell you what to say, we give you some examples, and so this starts with beginning sounds. Say the word bat. What is the first sound that you hear in that word? We give you examples to use for them. We go from beginning sounds to ending sounds, middle sounds, how many words are in this sentence, because we don't even know that they're counting syllables as words and they're trying to assign meaning to a syllable. We don't even know that that's how they're processing things auditorily. I'll move through these 21 components. If they get the first 5 right, I move on. They've got that skill. If they get the first 5 wrong, I move on. They don't have that skill. There's only 10 questions per skill in phonemic awareness, and I'm looking for 100% mastery by the time my child is out of the 2nd grade. And we show you on the recording form actually which skills should be mastered by the end of kindergarten, which skills should be mastered by the end of 1st grade and by the end of 2nd grade. So that if you are using the material to teach reading, that gives you a bit of a benchmark of what you're shooting for. But if you have a child that's 3rd grade or above, they should be getting 100% on everything that you're assessing in the phonemic awareness component. Now, I'm just going to pause there for a moment to tell you that everything else is set up that way. So when I have a recording sheet, like I do here with phonemic awareness, and it tells me just the skills, if I have a child that got 20% here, 80% here, 100%, now this gives me an overall vision of the sounds that they are processing correctly and the sounds that they are not. Now, every one of these assessments, like phonemic awareness, has a book that marries up to it. You'll see the picture on the assessment matches the curriculum itself. So here's the phonemic awareness book. And so if I give that assessment and I determine that my child has holes in skills 14 and above, then I could go into the curriculum, and all of those phonemic awareness skills are listed in the table of contents. So for child A, it might be skills 1, 5, 7, and 9. For my beginner reader, I would just start with skill 1. For my high schooler, it may be skills 14 and above. And so I just go to those skills, and that's what I'm going to work on. When you have multiple holes, and you will when you do the testing in all 5 areas, we tell you exactly how you can schedule your day to work on those areas. For each skill, beginning sound, middle sound, and middle sounds are the most common. If you don't process the difference between an a, and I, then I need to do things that are both multisensory and spiral to teach this to my student. And what do I mean by multisensory? So every modality of learning, whether it's visual, auditory, kinesthetic with movement, tactile with touch, all of those are different ways that our children can retrieve information. And so you might have a child that's struggling auditorily, so I want to purpose to come at them both visually, kinesthetic, tactile with touch, so that I can help them retrieve that information. If I'm only teaching in one modality and it happens to be their weakness, very hard for them to get information into long-term memory, which is one of the reasons why you feel often that they've got it and then they don't, and then they've got it and then they don't. And so whether you have a diagnosed learning disability or not, whether you know your child has a type of dyslexia or not, these are what we call best teaching practices, meaning I teach this way because I need to get it in a way that their brain can receive it. And I also need to teach it in a way that their brain can retrieve it. And so that is why everything that we do is based on an activity. And so your page will look like this. Each skill has 10 activities. The first 5, they can be done individually. The last 5 we call them group, but it could be just mom and the student, or if you have 2 children that need to work on the same area, they work on that together using those activities that are more than one student. These activities are not going to send you to Michael's or to Hobby Lobby. You might need something that you can toss, or you might need something that you can separate sounds with, and that could be socks. It doesn't matter. You can be creative. And so we're not looking to add any cost to this. These activities are all, we tell you exactly what you need in the materials needed column. They're all meant to be multisensory, so they're moving, touching, so on and so forth. Also, if anything calls for a list of words, they are in the back of the book, listed by skill. If you need picture cards, and the reason why we use picture cards when we remediate phonemic awareness is because I don't want them to see the word. So if I were to ask, what is the first sound that you hear in this word, I need them to process that this is a tractor, and them to tell me if it's a ch sound or... So we do have picture cards that come with the phonemic awareness component, and those again are used to teach the sounds, because I need pictures, not letters and words, because this is all about what they process auditorily. Now, I have spent a lot of time kind of talking you through how the material is set up, so that the remainder of this will go pretty quickly. But everything now is going to be based on how your child assesses. So in the phonics, it's actually on cards. We're actually going to do letter identification, both capital and lowercase. You will flip through cards to give that assessment, and we tell you what to do on each of the cards. And so we do everything from letter identification to short, long vowels. We use nonsense words because did my child memorize the word, or do they understand the rule on how to sound these nonsense words out? And we go through every large phonics idea, from silent N's, silent K's, to R and L controlled words. Everything, long vowels, short vowels, 2 vowels together, silent E. And so we're going to assess them in phonics to see how they're doing in phonics. And I don't know of anything else that assesses phonics like this. When you have a child struggling and you think it's phonics, you're just doing the same phonics curriculum again and again and again, getting pretty much the same holes and the same results. So this assessment not only tells you what phonics skill they have mastered, but also what they're struggling with. And then in this assessment, there is a cross-reference where I can not only determine what my child struggles with, but where in the word they struggle with it. For instance, if it's a TH at the beginning of the word, they get it every time, but they don't get it if it's in the middle or at the end. It will show me exactly where in the word their struggle is. And then again, phonics, once I know this is the score sheet, it's rather lengthy because we're testing a lot of things in phonics, but it doesn't take that long to give. Don't be intimidated by that. Once you have those results, then you go into the phonics activities. Again, you will see that they are listed by the skills. So if it's a silent E, or if it is some kind of blend, or even soft or hard letters. We go over those very specifically. There will be, again, a list of activities that you need. The icon, which I don't know if I really talked about in the other book, on the bottom of every activity shows if it's visual, kinesthetic, tactile, auditory. We also have some throughout the curriculum that include taste and smell, which are very strong retrieval mechanisms for information. Then you would assess. Now, each test takes me about 20 minutes. I tell parents you can test in phonemic awareness on Monday. Tuesday do phonics, Wednesday do sight words, Thursday do fluency, Friday do comprehension. At the end of the week, you'll know exactly what your child knows and doesn't know in reading collectively, and then you'll know what to teach them in each of these curriculum books. Sight words is not rocket science. Fry and Dolch were amazing researchers that came up with the most common words in the English language. And so some you can sound out and some you cannot. This is a bit of a whole language idea, but I'm not asking your child to memorize the entire English language. Whole language people believe that's the best approach. Phonics people don't. We're right smack dab in the middle. Sight words show up frequently in print. I don't want my child to stop at every one of them because they're very choppy readers. And so a lot of your kids will get them on cards and then they don't get them in context. Again, that is because of the way that they're learning. And so I need them to recognize that the word in context is the same word that is on the card. Our cards, there's 300 sight words, and those we hope the first 100 are mastered by the end of kindergarten, first grade. Some states they're required to be mastered before they even start kindergarten, some of them anyway. So they are listed in their order of frequency. So the word the or the, depending on where you're from, is the most common word in the English language, so that would be card number 1. The white space is researched and the font is researched not only for transference, but for my kids with dyslexia who have struggles with the font and the letters in our language. So we have all 300 of those cards come with the sight word component. So we have just a record sheet here, again listed in their order of frequency, number 1 through 300. So you're able to keep up with each child in what they know and what they don't know. That assessment's pretty easy to give. I'm holding the cards up. They know it, they know it, they don't, they don't, they know it, they know it, they don't. And then I take the list of words or the stack of words that they don't know, and I go into the sight word component of the curriculum. And there are all kinds of multi-modality approaches to teaching these rather than just flipping through cards, because just flipping through cards is a visual modality, and some kids again will get it on the card but will not get it in context. So we have even a blank bingo sheet in the back. You could play bingo. It's just full of multi-sensory approaches to teaching this. This is flashlight. This is one of our most popular activities with sight words, where we say that in a dark room you could put the sight words that you're working on, flip the flashlight on it, yell it out. There's an auditory component to that, a kinesthetic movement to that, and a visual. We had a dad once said, well, they just put it around their window in the room they did school, and he said, well, not only did she get it in context, but she remembered where the word was on the wall, which it goes to prove that that's a very strong correlation with that kinesthetic motion. She remembered where it was on the wall, which gave her the retrieval mechanism that she needed. So this is full of multimodality activities for sight words. Then under fluency, we're going to test 3 different things. You'll have different stories in here at different reading levels that your child will read, and we're looking for, you'll see we have listed how many words are in each story on each line. What we're looking for under fluency is your child's reading speed and their accuracy. Many times children will read it wrong. It was the blue ball, it was really a blue barn, and they answer the questions incorrectly. You think they have a comprehension problem. It's not a comprehension problem, it's an accuracy issue, and that falls under fluency. So I'm looking at how fast or slow they read. Sometimes I have to speed them up or slow them down. And I'm looking at their accuracy. Are they guessing? Are they omitting things, inserting things? and I know I've just talked about most of your kids. And so I'm looking for that specifically. And the third thing I'm looking for under fluency is prosody. Are they reading with voice inflection? Does a statement sound like a question? Or do they not even care? Do they blow by paragraph breaks without even a breath, and we have no idea what's happening in the story? And so all of those things affect their comprehension, but it's a fluency issue that we work very specifically on. Once I know if they're reading too fast or too slow and what I need to do to help them, this fluency book is filled again with multi-sensory activities that I can do whether I'm doing a fiction book, Little Red Riding Hood, or if I'm doing science or history. I can use these activities, and we walk you through how to record them, let them listen to themselves, how to get them to race themselves, how to get them to pay attention to every word from beginning to end, and then every sentence from beginning to end, and to really pay attention to the gifts that the author is giving them in the punctuation that makes meaning. So that is under fluency. And then finally, our comprehension component is just one of my favorites. The comprehension assessment, we walk you through exactly how to give this assessment. It's based on pre-primer, not reading it all, through a 8th grade leveled stories that we then have questions that they must answer. Some are just simple recall, some are inferring, meaning that the exact answer was not written on the page, but they needed to know where the story had come from and where it's going in order to make some kind of meaning. And so when I do that assessment, it tells me 3 very important reading levels. It tells you 3 very important reading levels. Their independent reading level, the sentence structure is not too difficult, the vocabulary not too hard. They're able to read that without you. Their instructional reading level, where you should be teaching them at, and then the frustration reading level, where it's just way too high, you're explaining too much, you're interpreting too much, pausing too often. They hate it, and for good reason. It's too difficult for them. Many times we hand books to our kids just guessing the reading level they're at, and that's why they don't enjoy it, because it's too hard, and you're telling them they should be able to do it, and they can't. And so this gives you their reading level from now until they hit an 8th grade reading level. The assessment and comprehension does. And so I can assess them now and then know where their reading levels are, assess them at Christmas break or December break, know where their reading levels have moved. And as I teach each of these areas in their specific weaknesses, they grow together. And you'll see you'll see the comprehension level move, because I'm filling in their very specific holes in reading. So that's how it works. And the comprehension activity book is worth its weight in gold. It is full of activities that are basically just study skills. What is the author giving me that I need to remember and find information again that is important to my learning this material? And so again, these activities can be applied to whether you're doing a fiction book or a nonfiction book, or you're reading a recipe or a map. You need to understand what it is you're reading. And so these activities are basic study skills. And once you've gone through all of these activities, some your children will gravitate towards, others they will not, they'll hate. But once you've moved through all of these activities in the comprehension book, you know, your student, you will know how you best learn information. And so this will go on, these activities will go on through the rest of your life. It'll be a skill you're like, oh, that's how I remember best when I do this activity. And so that's just worth its weight in gold. We have a lot of kids in high school that use this material just preparing themselves for college and classes outside of high school and what they've grown to know. So that is the struggling reader material. So it all goes together in the complete bundle. That would be everything that I just walked through. So you have the assessment itself, and then you have all of the books that go with that. That is the complete bundle that you'll see on the website. That includes 4 decks of cards, the phonics test cards, the sight word, all 300 of those sight words. You see how thick that is. And then it has the picture cards that we use in phonemic awareness, all colored pictures in that. And then we have a deck of fluency phrase cards that we use in the fluency component, because this is also known as chunking. Eventually we move into picking up more than one word at a time. All 4 of those decks of cards come in the complete bundle. So this can be used whether you're just teaching reading, whether you're remediating reading, or tutoring reading, whatever. This is the power. This tells you what you're going to teach. The other bundle that we have is just the testing bundle, and that is just the test all by itself. The book that I was just showing you, it has all 5 of the assessments in it, and that comes with the sight word deck, and it comes with the phonics deck, because I need both of those to do the assessments. Now that's just going to tell you where their holes are. So if you're not interested in the complete curriculum, then you can use this to dictate or help you figure out what they need to work on. And then we have the foundations bundle. The foundations bundle does not have any tests with it. It comes with the activity curriculum for sight words, for phonics, and for phonemic awareness. That is where I would start teaching my emergent reader in kindergarten. And that bundle actually comes with the picture cards for phonemic awareness, and it comes with those 300 sight words. Plus, you will get letter manipulatives with that, and so our capital letters, these are plastic letters, are in blue, lowercase are in red, and then my vowels in capital are yellow, and my vowels in lowercase are in purple. These letter manipulatives are available to purchase separately with the complete bundle. They're not included because so many people already have a lot of those manipulatives, so you do not have to purchase those unless you want them with any other bundle, but they do come with the foundations bundle. So if you get the full and complete bundle, you already have the test, and you already have everything that you see in the foundations bundle. So we just have 3 different bundles to choose from, and just as a note, everything is available a la carte. So if you wanted to just get the comprehension assessment, that is only available on our PDF format. So you'll see that we have the foundations bundle, the testing bundle, and the complete bundle. They all look exactly like what you see here in book form, and then you can just print off what you need. But then we also have just the phonemic awareness component, where you could just test those 21 sounds and then remediate those. Then we also have just the phonics bundle, where if you just wanted to assess in phonics and remediate just phonics. And those bundles, the phonemic awareness would come with the phonemic awareness picture cards. The phonics would come with the phonics cards. Fluency by itself would come with those fluency phrase cards, again assessing their reading speed, their accuracy, and their prosody. And then the sight word bundle by itself would assess those 300 sight words, and it would come with that those 300 sight word cards. And then the comprehension would give you their reading levels from pre-primer, not reading at all, through the 8th grade reading level, and it would give you their independent, instructional, and frustration reading level. Well, with the sight word, if you were to get the phonics CD, you would get the phonics CD. If you got the complete phonics CD, you would get the curriculum and the test. If you just wanted the book alone, that would not come with the cards, with just the phonics cards, because the phonics cards are used to assess the students. So if you just got it, it would just be in book form, and you wouldn't get cards if you just got the activities. But in this component is where we do letter identification. So there's 10 activities out of the gate where your student is learning the letters. And if you don't have those manipulatives, you can purchase those separate of this if you just wanted to do phonics. So I know that this makes sense to us because we're the creators of this. Our heart's desire is to meet everyone where you're at. If you have someone with a learning disability, whether it's diagnosed or not, there's no magic curriculum. It's really the way you teach them, and that's how we teach everything here. There are no worksheets that you draw lines to or fill things in. It's all about movement, and it's all about tactile touch, spiral approach,
multi-sensory, and teaching them exactly what they don't know in the best teaching practices possible. And that's what our hope is, that in first grade you might do all of it. In second grade you might know all the sounds, so now you're not doing any phonemic awareness. In third grade you might have all of the sight words and in the phonemic awareness sounds mastered, so now you're just doing some phonics skills, fluency skills, and comprehension skills. Those fluency and comprehension skills continue to be worked on throughout the elementary levels into middle school. Some high schoolers are even using those to learn study skills. So again, it's one reading curriculum. The assessment is what sets us apart and empowers parents, even if your kids are in public or private school, to know where their struggles are, how to teach them. Again, if you just wanted the assessments, you can get just the testing bundle. Check those things out here on the website. If you have any questions, you can email us at thestrugglingreader@gmail.com, and we will answer you as best as we can. We look forward to working with you. We hope that this will help in any way, whether you're teaching reading or remediating reading. Thank you for watching this video.